the end, because I think there will be not so many left when we went through the complete sections. We have 2 more sections to cover. First of all I would like to introduce you Omni-1, Omni-Brain technology, which is the brainwave entrainment, which we see here. It's the fancy light stuff here.
I like it.
Yeah, it's coming out here in all kinds of different colors, depending on what you adjust here. You can see the color is changing. We can apply blue, we can apply red, here, all kinds of stuff. And there are coming some weird tones out of the earphones and some music overlaying. So what's happened with this, I will cover now. Omni-Brain, which is actually a so-called integrated sound and light relaxation system. So what we actually achieve with PEMF to each of our body cell, we achieve with brainwave entrainment to our brain. We know that our entire physical and mental state not only depends on our body, it also depends on our brain. And sometimes when we are tired, we are probably not tired because we are physically exhausted. Sometimes we are also tired because we are mentally exhausted. For example, like today. Today you will feel much more mentally exhausted than physically exhausted because you get bombarded with a lot of new frequencies, information, and your entire brain must now start dealing with it. And what happens is, if you right now in the process of becoming a PEMF expert, you swallow all this information, and now your brain starts working and but I have this, you know, this is what's going on. And that needs a lot of energy, that requires a lot of energy, so that will make you tired. You know, absolutely, which is totally normal. And but we have already the capability of reversing this brain tiredness by using certain technology, by applying certain stimuli to your brain and to reverse certain processes. For example, to reverse the process of becoming tired and being mentally alerted again and awake. And this is possible with brainwave entrainment. So what's behind this technology? Brainwave entrainment, also known as brainwave training or brainwave stimulation, is nothing else. It's an impulse application, and it activates existing brainwaves to resonate with an external stimulus. So what we do is we sing a song to the brain, and we sing this song over and over again until the brain starts singing with us, because it understands the information and starts resonating. So this is actually what you do. It's a kind of a learning process, because our brain is capable of learning. And we use this capability by applying frequency. We do this so-called audio-visual. So we try to correspond with the brain by applying visual and audio frequencies. We do this through the eyes and through the ears. This is brainwave, audio-visual brainwave entrainment. And that's why such a system always contains of a special goggle which exposes light frequency, and over the earphones which you plug in also exposes audio frequencies. Weird tones. Somebody already used it. Some people always call me and said, I think my brainwave entrainment system does not work correctly because I hear some weird tones. Because we are not used to that. But these weird tones are on purpose. It's actually, you know, we try to correspond with the brain And we try to tune in the brain into the frequencies we apply. And because the brain has this general tendency, it's possible to do that. The brain is like a baby. When you sing a song over a long time, or when you perform something, an action over a long time, you know, it may happen, if you do it consistently, that the baby goes in resonance and does it by itself. That's how we learn baby saying mama or papa. We always tell it over and over again until the baby starts repeating it. And the brain is a little bit faster than a baby. So when you apply a certain frequency, which the brain is able to understand, that's very important. It cannot be any frequency. It must be out of a very narrow spectrum which the brain is able to deal with. Then what happens is that the brain changes its own frequency and starts tuning into the external stimulus. And this, as a result, it changes your mental status. If you change the brainwave frequencies, you're gonna be able to change your mental status.
Is it permanent?
It's not permanent because it's an ongoing process, but the more often you do it, the easier the brain tunes into that. You know? And this is for people who don't believe in PEMF because they said nothing's going on. They should use brainwave entrainment. You know? My best half, Veronica, is such a person. She doesn't believe in anything. I must prove everything. Twice. You know? But we had this situation, she was very tired, and I said, why don't you use PEMF? She uses it every day, but now please do me a favor and put the goggles on. And I put her on a certain color, on a certain frequency, and after 24 minutes, because she was very tired, she took off, and she said, wow, I have an immediate effect because I feel totally awake and alerted. This was the first time that she was very committed to use this technology because she had the proof. No? So what actually doesn't work immediately with PEMF will mostly work with brainwave entrainment right away. And that's why it's so important when you use this technology for the first time. I always appeal to the people to use it together. Because you have a faster and more deep effect of the whole of the entire application. And you are able to do this because the brainwave entrainment and the PEMF application goes together in one application. So you can do this, you know, in conjunction. This is very unique for such systems that they are able to do this. So the human brain has the tendency to adapt to its self-generated frequencies to external stimuli, provided the frequencies of the external stimuli are within natural brain frequencies. So that's very important. So if we cannot apply 800 gigahertz, because the brain say, I'm sorry, but I don't understand this language, so there is no interaction. However, if we apply frequencies within a certain range, the brain already knows and already has by itself, then it is able to tune into it. And we do this by influencing with our senses audio and video. Latin, audio I hear, video I see. If you ever saw the graph of an EEG, electroencephalography, this is the classical medical way how to measure brainwaves. And this is how a graph looks like when you do a reading. When you analyze this reading, you can see that there are 4 brain wave lengths prevailing. The so-called delta, theta, alpha, and beta waves. Again, we are here within 0.5 and 25, maximum 30 Hertz. Which is, remember, again, within the natural range. which we discussed about 1 hour ago. So this is the frequency range the brain is able to generate itself. And believe it or not, depending on which brain waves are prevailing on an EEG, that tells you a lot about the mental state of the person. For example, right now, if I would make an EEG of all of you, we would have prevailing delta and theta frequencies. So that's between being totally relaxed and already falling asleep. Because it's a long day, so your brain is already tired. It's absolutely normal. I can do whatever I want, I will not change this. Wrong? If you would perform maybe 1 or 2 brainwave entrainment sessions during this day, you would feel totally different. Because we could shift your prevailing brainwave frequencies towards a status which you would like to have. In my case, what I always like to have when I have an audience is more alpha and beta. Because that means you are concentrated, you are awake, you are alerted, you are ready to receive information. So, how can I do this? In this case, I would use a brainwave entrainment system and would apply alpha or beta waves. And if I do this consistently over a certain period of time, 8 to 16 minutes is enough, then your brainwaves will shift and your mental status will shift from being totally tired to, again, alerted, concentrated, and awake. This is how cool this works. It really works very, very powerful. By the way, it works very good with children. Children love the application. Just tell them to close the eyes, because they are so thrilled about that they keep the eyes open about the lights. So we must tell them to close the eyes. But usually children tolerate brainwave entrainment very good, and they benefit from it. So for example, if you have ADD or ADHD children, it's a perfect way to treat them with brainwave entrainment. Because you can really calm them down, and they can do nothing against it, because the brain changes its brainwaves. So if you, ADD children have a very, very high prevailing alpha and beta. So if you want to counteract here, you would have to apply delta and theta in order to calm the brain down, and you will immediately see this on their behavior.
Will the light interfere or hurts the eyes?
Pardon?
The light. Because I saw that there is.
Yes, the light, yes.
Then if you open the eyes, won't it?
It's just a little inconvenient, but you don't have to open the eyes. Just keep it closed because you get the light through
Best
the
is
eye.
closed.
Yes, absolutely. Keep your eyes closed during the application. So when you do this, don't keep it open, because after 10 minutes you don't see anything. You know? Just keep it closed, and you will still feel the flickering frequencies, and that's enough, you know, to sensitize the brain through the eyes. And because we want to be efficient, we give you the same frequencies through the ears, also to, you know, to address it more briefly to the brain. But this is actually the principle behind it. Principally, the brain produces all wavelengths, which you see here, in the same time. However, normally a specific frequency always prevails. And this specific frequency determines the mental state of the person. Please?
Does it lose its effectiveness if I were to put a tissue above the eyes, so that if the child opens, it's not too glaring?
No, it's not. But you, with this system, you can even adjust the intensity of the light. So you don't need to put something in between to make it more less strong. You can regulate this with a so-called brightness control. So that it's convenient for you. You know, when you do this for the first time, it's always inconvenient because you're not used to it. The first 3-4 minutes are not so pleasant because you are exposed to something which you are not familiar with. However, most of the people, you know, when the brightness is not too strong, after 5 minutes people fall asleep. Because they are so relaxed and they so enjoy this kind of treatment that it's no problem to take this. And the more you do it, the more you will get into it. Can we save the questions a little bit so I can move forward? And maybe at the end of the session, if you remind the question, would be nice. So with the brainwave stimulation, you are able to correct the frequency pattern and you can so influence the mental state of the user. The integrated sound light relaxation system is also synchronized with a built-in organ clock. So depending on the time of the day when you use it, it automatically gives you the correct frequencies. So if you don't intervene in the organ clock, it will also always give you in the morning the more activating frequencies, alpha, beta, you know, and in the evening the more sedating frequencies, delta and theta, without doing something. You don't have to find the right frequency, the software will do it for you. However, when you are more experienced with this kind of application, you can always choose your own organ clock. So you can also, for example,